Hello, welcome to White Threads FlossTube number 29. Thank you so much for joining me today. We've just had a long weekend here, which is why I didn't post a video yesterday, being Monday of the long weekend. It was to celebrate the Queen's birthday, which is nowhere near this time, but this is when Australia celebrates it, so that's the way it is. And because travel restrictions have relaxed slightly in our state, we were allowed to travel regionally for this long weekend. So there were a lot of tourists in town on Friday, I noticed, and as we headed south, we went to Sydney for the weekend to see my daughter and other relatives. As we headed south, there were many people heading north from the city into the countryside. So hopefully there has been a little bit of cash splashed around in the countryside because we know we desperately need it. And hopefully no one's brought any viruses and horrible diseases with them. So we went down to Sydney for the weekend to spend it with my daughter and other family members. And while we were there, I got to see my aunt. Now, my aunt had called me a few weeks ago and told me that she had been going through some things and she'd found that she had some family textiles and she was wondering if I would be interested in them. And I said, oh, of course I'd be interested in them. Family textile history would be a fabulous thing that I would love to have. So she gave me a big box of things, and in amongst the big box of things there was this small box of things, and it's marked on it Sentimental Pieces. Now these came from my great Auntie Gen, who was my grandfather's sister. She never had any children of her own, so things got passed down in the family but not to her children because she didn't have any. So in amongst the box there were a number of things, and we think that these were probably things that she did at school when she was learning how to embroider. So there was this piece of canvas work which is worked in crosses. If I looked it up I could probably figure out what sort of crosses they are, and on the back it's like that. So it looks to be worked in pearl cotton. It's not a beautiful piece, but it's a piece that I think she made, which is lovely. Then there is this sample here, which is obviously a bookmark. It says "Forget Me Not," and there's what appears to be a version of a British flag there. It's probably a particular cross, I don't know which one. And there may have been something originally here before as well. So that's on a piece of grosgrain ribbon. And this work here is worked on perforated paper, which is interesting to note. Then we have something that looks to be some sort of sampler. There's lots of buttonholes and eyelets and some darning there in the middle. You can see on the back that she has also hemmed. Actually, the hem goes to the front. The hem at the side goes to the front, and it's got a decorative feather stitch on it. And then there is gathered bobbin lace added at the edge. So this is probably something that she worked. That's GW, that's Genevieve Wilkie, that was her name. So there's that one. Then there is this one here. Now we're not sure if this was made by her. It appears to be MW, or it could be MW that way. I don't know. This is a piece of very light cloth that's been hemmed, and it has the world's worst mitred corners because they're not mitred at all. These ones are just folded in, and these ones she probably was trying to mitre them, didn't manage it. So I found that one rather amusing. I probably shouldn't laugh at it. But the hemming itself is quite beautifully done. Then there is this small one. Now that looks to me to be MM, but once again it could be WW, but I think because it's got the dots, I think it's MM. So that's probably some particular relative's work. It's got feather stitch borders with little, well, it looks to be little whip stitch on the front. Actually, it's hard to say. No, I was wondering if there was a cord underneath that, but no, I think it's just pulled up into a little ridge because of the stitching. So that's rather nice, that one, done in red. And there's another one here, which has got more feather stitch, but slightly differently done. MM again, so I don't know who did it. And the thread that it's worked in is a red thread. It is, I'd say, just a cotton. It's very finely twisted. It doesn't have any sheen, so I don't know that it's a thread that we still have available to us, but it's certainly very interesting. So there's that one. These are handkerchiefs, I'm assuming. Then there's this little piece of perforated card here, which has got some beading on it, and the beads are all put on with back stitch, it looks like, except for the bugle beads, which are done with a straight stitch. So that's rather interesting. Then there's this cute little top, which I don't know, must have been for one of her dolls. It's got some embroidery on the back as well as around the neck hole and the sleeve holes. And it's got hooks and eyes sewn on. So this again may have been, I mean, it may have been something that she made for one of her dolls, but it could have been another piece from learning as well. And the hooks and eyes could have been sewn on as learning pieces, I'm not sure. Then this one's particularly special. I opened this one up and just went, oh! So this is a lace handkerchief of some sort. It's worked on a beautiful fine silk fabric which just drapes gorgeously, and the bobbin lace around the edge is also worked in silk, I'm pretty sure, because it's got a lovely sheen to it. So that is particularly special, that one. I have no idea what that would be used for, but I'm so pleased that I have it now because it's beautiful. Very, very fine. Then we have a small sampler. Again, this has got some drawn thread work in it along these ones here, and then it's got that be a herringbone along there, and you can see the G in the centre again for Genevieve. We never called her Genevieve, she was Auntie Gen. And that's, I'm not sure if that's, yeah, that's linen, I think, as opposed to the other ones that were cotton. There's this little piece here, which I'd say it's on a very fine cotton, and that is not the most attractive embroidery that I've ever seen. It's very chunky, but maybe, again, it was a learning piece. This one's got non-mitred corners again, so whoever made it obviously did not manage to master mitred corners. Then there's another little sample here. This is knitted lace around the edging that's been sewn onto another hemmed piece, a square of cloth. Again, no mitred corners, not their forte. And here we have bobbin lace that's been sewn onto the edge of the cloth. I think it's cotton again, and the corners on the back. And so probably this was learning how to gather the corners, to ease it in at the corners, and also to sew it along the sides. Then we have these, which are made of straw and ribbon. And I don't know what's inside them, can't really tell, and I don't want to pull it apart because they're a bit brittle. And I'd say they were serviette rings or napkin rings. It's amazing that they've lasted so well. And then we have a little bit of basket weaving here. You can see that the basket's been made out of raffia, I suppose, and then it's been lined. So they were all the special things in the box that said Sentimental, what does it say? Sentimental Pieces. Now there is a piece of paper here, I'm just going to read what it says. All these came from Auntie Gen and McIndoe's Family Treasures. GW is Genevieve Wilkie, yes, I knew that. MM is Grandma Wilkie, so my grandmother, no, my aunt's grandmother's. So she was Ellen McIndoe, her sister Auntie Mag, who was Margaret McIndoe. Okay, so that's who the MM is, who never married and had a sad history of mental illness. So it's really nice that my aunt has recorded that detail, because that can stay with those things, and therefore we will remember who MM was, Margaret McIndoe. So I just thought it'd be nice to show you some of the things that I got from my aunt this weekend. There are more things that I'll probably show you later, which are also interesting. And yeah, just thought you'd like to see that today. I hope your sewing's going well. I am making more progress on my book. There's still unfortunately way more to go than I was hoping that there would be by this stage, but it'll get done when it gets done. And then once it's done, it can go off to the printer and then it should come back to me and I can start sending it all out to you. I should be able to make an announcement reasonably soon about what the book's going to be on, so stay tuned and I will let you know. Thanks for joining me again today. See you later. Bye.